If your Toyota has a check engine light and the VSC and traction control lights are flashing, you're probably stuck in limp mode. So this video is for the Tundra, Sequoia, Land Cruiser, 4Runner, etc. and some Lexus models. I'll be showing you a breakdown of how to disassemble and repair this problem for a couple $100. The secondary air pumps are located under the intake manifold on most newer 5.7 vehicles, but mine just so happens to be under the passenger fender well. The same part, same system too. They pump air into the injection valves for a few minutes during startup. Those air injection valves then open up and pump air into the exhaust right before the cat during startup. This helps lower your emissions. Once this system goes into a failed mode, you get the check engine light and the system goes into limp mode. You're not able to drive over 50-60 miles an hour on the highway. So let's go ahead and tear into it and get started.
Okay, so there's 4 T25 Torx bolts that hold this housing together, and as you can see here, once you get it apart, this is full of water. Black, nasty water. Just a poor design. And this is actually a rubber, it's not a metal. It's like a rubber cup that houses this DC motor. The top half of this housing comes off as well and leaks water. And this feels like it's free, so maybe it's a matter of corrosion. Okay, so I built this old jump block out of a couple of Prius hybrid cells. It's about 12 volts. So I'm going to feed 12 volts into this plug. Before I put these air pumps back in here, what I did is I actually drilled a tiny little hole. In each one of them so they can drain water. Shouldn't have this problem happen again. Pretty easy. You got 12mm nut here, one up under here, and then 2 back, one right there, one behind that. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and cut out all the wasted expense removing the 10mm bolts and nuts to get this intake manifold off. It's pretty straightforward if you've ever taken off hoses, your PCV hose, your purge valve, vacuum lines. It's pretty straightforward. Took about an hour to get this off. Just got this intake manifold out. And took off the valves that are back here, causing this code. The secondary air pump injection valves, and I'll show those. And I took these apart, and you can see here, this has got a flap. It's supposed to close, and you can clearly see how that's open. See that? And you'll notice this vacuum hose. Yeah. It's supposed to be plugged into the back, like right here, and it's broke off. Like there's a big hunkin' harness, engine harness that comes across there. Yeah. Okay, so this old valve assembly, when it sets back in here, you're gonna notice this harness is just really tight up against the back side of this vacuum line, and it's so tight it typically wants to break off this nipple. Like this side is on the forward side, which is great, but this one being on the back side with this big old heavy harness up against it, you can see it's just worn this line in two and broke the nipple clean off the back side of this valve. And if you're wanting to know the part number for this assembly, see if I can focus here, it's 25701-38060. The new assembly I got shows part number 25701-38064, so it must be a superseded part number. But I don't want to mess with the back of that vacuum hose breaking off again, So I zip tied a piece of foam rubber across the back side of this, so you can kind of tell it gives it a little bit more support against the back side of that harness. I don't want this to happen again and have to dig that thing back out of there, because this harness is so tight up against there. So hopefully that'll help prevent that problem. Okay, I got everything put back together, and one thing I do want to mention is you'll want to disconnect your battery post just so you can help clear that check engine light. Or another easy way is you can remove this 7.5 amp fuse that says ECU B1 right there in the middle. That's this little guy right here. That'll clear your check engine light as well. Okay, looks like our lights are off. We'll fire it up and we'll see if we get what we need. Nice. Lights are off, running good. We'll let it warm up before we take it out for a drive. But thanks for watching. If you like this video, feel free to share it or click subscribe below and I'll give you a back rub.